I'm sure we were all glued to our TVs
the whole day, and we made it look a very big thing. From morning we were live.
From morning 10 hours
until Raila dropped out.
10 hours.
Raila takes an early lead.
Yes, first 2 rounds.
It takes an early lead.
As always.
Sio kwa nini happeningi kwa kila election. Even 2017, even 2013. Even 207.
Yes.
Baba, kwanza 207 until the Rakanidhi happened. He was president until the Rakanidhi happened.
Okay.
This was not about Baba. I think this was about us as a country, and how we are viewed by our peers in Africa.
But let's face it. He had campaigned around the continent.
He did his homework.
Yes,
he had campaigned, and that's what I'm saying. It's not about Baba. It's about us as a country, as Kenya, how we are viewed with our peers. It's about how our president is viewed by his peers. And so, in my thinking, even if you took Fanyamambo, even if you took Uhuru, even if you took Jeff for that seat, you will still have flopped, because we are not viewed so we don't find favor with most of those countries that we call our peers. Yeah. Remember Amina Mohammed? He did the same thing. 2017. Yes. She campaigned and we thought that she's gonna win. Yeah. She failed miserably. Yeah. Baba has happened the same thing. We thought that the caliber of Baba and where people place him, and the fact that he's known in the content is going to help him win. But I think our nation needs to do some soul searching.
On the very evening that the MPs were going to Addis, we saw this clip where some MPs were engaging Masanga. These are I call him an activist.
Uganda.
This refugee who came from his country. Masanga. Yes. You know, these were MPs recording Masanga, and they were being amused by what he was saying, and he was speaking ill of the now AUC chair Yusuf, saying how Djibouti depends on gossip, thrives on gossip. You know, you are speaking this way, and it is a clip being put on the internet, and you know how the internet takes these things and makes them viral.
Exactly.
Everyone was watching and following this keenly. How is it that MPs from Kenya who have gone to wait for elections to happen can start speaking ill of a candidate in the very, very election and expect that people will... those are some of the things that shifted the grounds hours to the election. Yeah. You remember when Museveni were hosted at State House? I think it was on the day when Baba was being launched at State House. How Museveni spoke about the now AUC chair.
Yes.
It was in a belittling manner.
Correct.
We must also not ignore the social media, because each and every Kenyan was tweeting, and they were tweeting against the candidate of Raila Odinga.
Imagine
you can't ignore that. And people are disillusioned with this government, and anything that President Ruto appears to be supporting, yes, people naturally don't want to approve it. So hata Raila sahi akiungana na Gachagua, labda people might warm up to him, but just because he's with the President Ruto, and because of the dissolution that has come with this government, people just didn't like it, and people were tweeting each and every morning against the candidate of Raila Odinga, all day long, and so you can't ignore the power of social media. You can't say that President Ramaphosa, for example, did not have a view of what was happening in Kenya on social media, and so I think that's also an area of study, just the power of social media in the AU candidacy.
What does Raila do now? He's back home. What does he do?
He will do the things he does. He will sell ODM tickets. He's already... In fact, when he left, he made a huge mistake. When he was speaking about Sakaja.
Yes.
I think Raila, oh my goodness. Now he's aligning himself with everything that Kenya does not want. First, he aligns himself with President William Ruto. A huge, grave mistake. Uliona Uhuru's popularity was so high when he went to the burial in Embu. Akasalimiwa tu. You know, he was visited in his home. Akasalimiwa tu, popularity yake yote ikaisha. Now he's trying to rebuild it, mpaka anaanzia GenZs fight for your country. Now, I visited Wamunyoro the other day, and this is still related to what I'm telling you. And he told us,
Wamunyoro being
yes, Luigi, yes, he told us in his compound kuna mahali ametengeneza ka gate, because there's a very high likelihood that Ruto could come in from the front gate. Sasa akiingilia front gate, kabla upigwe picha na yeye, unajua ukipigwa picha na yeye all your political currency goes. So yeye amepanga kona ka gate kanyuma, anatoka mbio, afadhali apande boda hapo apotee. So that is what you need to do as a Kenyan. If you see Ruto coming from this side, every person who is vying for a political seat in 2027, like I'm vying in Dagoretti South. Sasa kwangu unajua hata nimefence na mabati, wakikuja tu wana shake mabati. So kuna moja sasa naenda kutoboa kashimo, nikisikia gari zake zinakuja pande hii, unatokea pande hiyo. You must avoid Ruto at all costs if you want to survive in 2027.
What does Baba do?
Baba now, that's the first thing he needs to do, to avoid Ruto. If he's going to be meaningful. And to avoid Sakaja, I heard he wants to give the ODM ticket for Nairobi to Sakaja. Yeah. He's gonna lose
and
it.
Not Babu.
Yes, so right now, all he needs to do first is to avoid William Ruto, come back to the side of Kenyans. And tell Kenyans, nilikuwa na yule mtu nilikuwa nataka kiti ya AUC. Sasa hiyo ni mnyambo ya punda. Aseme zile vitu anasemanga za ujinga. And trash the whole thing and take up now he has the majority leadership of parliament. Take up the majority leadership and start leading parliament from there they are. Kick out Wetangula. This is a very good
Wetangula has said that ODM is not the majority.
Wetangula. Wetangula is one of the most unpopular persons in that parliament. How many people support Wetangula? UDA is not supporting him right now.
But in Kakamega, Papa Roma.
Not Kakamega, Bungoma.
Oh, sorry, Bungoma.
Na sio Bungoma yote, kuna Tawe. So he's in a very bad place. I don't think, this is the same guy who made promises a very messy divorce that ended up finishing like this. Messy. Nothing happened.
Yes.
So nothing will happen. I think Baba just needs to focus on coming back to the side where Kenyans are. Otherwise, if he continues with William Ruto, he's digging his own grave. Na asichukue hiyo kiti anapromisiwa. Nimeona ati wanamwambia wanaweza mfanya prime minister. Hakuna referendum tunaenda kuvote to create kiti kama hii sisi.
I think we will continue eating, we will continue being promised those, pia akona constituency nyuma yake na those people who benefit from who Baba is. Yeah. For example, those 10 chairpersons that will be appointed in the National Assembly to help those departmental committees. Hawezi taka Baba atoke, watamwambia Baba weka hapo. Hii tunakula sasa. So they will be there, they will start eating those 10 departmental committees. But you will still head the oversight committees in the National Assembly and in the Senate. CPAC, CPIC, you will still be leading them. I'm sure he'll be thrown some bone and some meat here and there, beef here and there, and so I think Baba will continue eating for now until kukaribia na uchaguzi 27 until 2027. I just hope that when they eat, they are not going to be loudmouths while eating. They just observe the table manners. Wakule tu mzuri, wanyamaze, but they should not make noise. From what we hear at times, Kaluma speaking. When you hear Kaluma speaking and you are telling yourself, I thought this guy was bright.
Yes.
I thought this guy had some brain, but waliingia serikali na wakapoteza everything. And I want to assume that Baba bado ameweka multibet. Ameweka atakuwa kwa serikali na bado atakuwa kwa opposition.
Kuna goal.
Yeah, ameweka multibet. So ukiona Sifuna anapiga huku na Kaluma anaunga mkono huku, it's all part of the strategy. Na Babu pia anapiga huku na wengine anaunga, it's all part of the strategy, because ikifika 2027 around February usikie mtu akisema hii pia tumejaribu kusupport imekataa. Tutatoka. So wakitoka they will live with loss and loss of votes. That's if they're not going to work together in 2027. But there's also a possibility that Raila and being at his age, he could just say that I've done this for too long. Let me just unga President William Ruto mkono na tuone venye kunaenda.
In what way? To be running mate or
no, just ameambiwa tuka hapo. You will eat well.
Usiongee.
There's every likelihood that William Ruto will vie on ODM ticket. First and foremost, there's nothing left in UDA. There's nothing left in UDA. There's nothing left in UDA. Jaribu kuuza UDA anywhere, even within Eldoret or anywhere. UDA is a shell. And UDA cannot win national elections right now. So he only has two choices. And this has happened before. I mean, Jubilee, which was the ruling party, ended up having an ODM candidate as their presidential candidate.
Raila
Amolo Odinga. Right now, if Raila Amolo Odinga is not vying in 2027, and I suspect he will not vie in 2027, though his handlers would want to force him to vie so that they can win their seats. You know, when Raila is vying, people in the bulk of Luo Nyanza will come out to vote. And when they come out to vote, they will have to vote for these other people who hang on his court, for senator, governor, MP. These useless people who cannot be voted without Raila Amolo Odinga are the ones who usually pray for him to be alive and well and on the ballot in 2027. And then they get the ODM ticket. So Ruto stands a better chance at the presidency in 2027 if he's the ODM candidate. And he was in ODM once, so he's just going back home. Hakuwa any ODM candidate, wamsimamishe na ODM, because now the whole ODM outfit will then come and vote for him.
So Pentagon Irudi.
Yeah, Pentagon Irudi. He stands a chance that way. I don't see any other way in which William Ruto stands a chance.
2002. You were a young man then, but you remember.
Yeah, I remember.
Raila akasema Kibaki tosha.
Kibaki tosha.
Can he say this once again?
Again, it is about the person of our president, William Ruto, who has affected the country that we are, Kenya, in all these. So I agree, it is entirely William Ruto's fault, and to the extent that Baba had to bear the brunt of that bad relationship we have around the continent.
Yeah.
Let me tell
These
you,
were African presidents voting.
there were African presidents voting, but when people curse you, wherever you go, you don't carry their blessings. So either way, have you ever seen a cursed person walking? They don't carry the blessings of the people. But one of the things I would like to do is to ask one Honorable Duale first to tell us whether he delivered the Somalia vote to Kenya, because I'm suspecting Somalia did not even vote with us.
Right.
He has been saying he'll deliver the whole of that region that speaks Somali, and they will give 4 million to President William Ruto. First, I want to ask him, was he able to speak in Somali language, and was he able to persuade the Somali president to vote for Kenya? Because that's very important for us, because if then he did that, then there is a possibility. There's a possibility that he could deliver even a third of the votes that he has promised on that end. However, having said that, I think Baba, one of the things that happened, you see, there is one thing, when you have goodwill from home, Wakikuyu usema wega umaga na moshie. When you have goodwill coming from home, he would have won that seat.
The previous night, I was told that the other delegates from other countries were wondering what is happening, because Kenyans were there and they were singing. They were, we are loud and drunk, and and we wanted to tell the world that we are here, and we are taking this thing.
Yes,
and that's how we do our stuff, unfortunately, and especially when Baba is involved. When Baba is involved, there's a lot of showbiz, there's a lot of oomph. When he walks around, you must know that Baba is around, and that's how we do our stuff as a country. And at times it rubs off the wrong way lots of people. For example, Tanzanians will not like us because they are calm, they do their stuff in a slow manner. Ni kama watu wa mwambao, sisi tunataka kufanya vitu chap. Yeah, we know everything. Yeah, and also the blunders, I think what the president did on DRC, when he made the pronouncement on DRC, I think that was also a game changer, because when he said he's called Macron, the French president, I think that rubbed off the wrong way. Lots of people, especially in the South Africa. Ramaphosa is a personal friend to Raila Odinga, but because of the geopolitical issues, I think they voted with the Djibouti guy. And so there are lots and lots of things that we did wrong. But as a country, I think our diplomacy is just wanting. I think we have not recovered. I think even from where Amina Mohammed was, we are worse off at the moment, because of the things, the decisions the President William Ruto has been making. Remember, when he came into power, there is a country wale wajirani wa Morocco anaitwa nani? Shahrawi yes. The president invited the prime minister, or is it the president?
Yes.
And then Morocco had issues, and then now president tweeted saying that they don't recognize whatever. So those are the blunders that that have led us to where we are.
Don't forget about Gaza.
Yes,
Yeah.
and, Palestine and Israel. You know, we have made ourselves to be standing with Israel, and those Muslim countries, you know, they have issues with that stand, and so we were bound to lose those votes.
From when this administration began, we have had those that are around the powers that be praising the president, how he has put Kenya on the map, how the world respects Kenya, how he's been receiving standing ovations anytime he goes to any international platforms and makes these speeches. But where has it boiled down to? How is it that we can be respected in the world, and in our own continent we can't marshal 33 presidents to rally behind 33 presidents to rally behind Raila Odinga? So it has been a fallacy, which was put to an end the other day during the USA elections. So the bad manners that we have exhibited by trying to be the prefect that is the loudest in Africa, chest thumping, doing things na thorax, you know, that is what has annoyed a lot. Yes, what kujipiga kifua. I think that has also was a major undoing for President Ruto as a person, because three things were determining this: the President Ruto as a person, Kenya as a country, and Raila Odinga as the candidate.
President Ruto was there, present on the ground. How do you think he felt at that moment?
I think to start with, I differ with my friend on the other side. There were two camps, and people were aligning themselves with one of the two camps. You know, in this life, there are two senses. You either use common sense or nonsense. So many people chose to use nonsense, and the bulk of the people were on the side of nonsense. How do you bring 500 people into Addis Ababa? And the person who won the seat had 3 or 4 people. Kenya has been spending more money on every elective seat than that seat is actually worth and than it can bring. If ask every MCA, any person who was elected as an MCA, apart from Yule campaign na donkey na akachaguliwa, the bulk of the people who were elected as MCA spent more money than that seat can ever give in 5 years. Some MPs spent more money than that seat can ever bring in 5 years. I think it is a good time, it's a lesson for Kenyans. Stop spending on a campaign more money than a seat is worth or than it can bring within those number of years. And again, I have always asked people, why do we need African Union? Because that's a question that nobody wants to answer me. Right now there is war in DRC. That African Union haijatuma hata peremende, hata lollipop haijatuma. Is such a useless outfit. I have always asked people, why do you need African Union? What is it for? The best they could do during that day was to give up a speech about the conflict in DRC. Yani, these guys are so useless. The African Union, hata kilo moja ya mchele sahi nangoja tu. In fact, the only reason I look at my TV is just to see if there is a president who has got common sense to believe and think. There's a woman who is hungry right now. There are children who slept hungry last night.
Yeah.
They were displaced. Can you imagine? You know, not having food is an emergency already. We should not even be thinking of flagging off trailers. Ukiona mtu ana flag trailers hata ana akili. Trailer itafika siku gani DRC? You know, mtoto akona njaa sahi. It's like someone telling me it's 4 p.m. your daughter has not eaten anything from morning and your daughter is in Kitale. Niseme nimetuma trailer italeta food. That means my daughter will eat after 2 days. So that is what they are doing to DRC. So what we should be doing right now is even looking for helicopters to land emergency malaria tablets, emergency food, emergency relief. We should be having each country 49 fools going out there to vote, and I call them fools on national TV. 49 fools going out there to vote, and one of their own is burning. And none of them thought it common sense to say, I'm just donating 100 soldiers. By now we would have at least 5,000. If you have 5,000 soldiers on the floor of DRC right now, at least protecting civilians. Hata wavae white beret wajulikane, these ones are not here to fight. Just protect civilians, protect women from rape, protect children from, you know, abuse and so on and so forth. Give them food, open the way for Red Cross. African Union is the most useless outfit. Let me tell you, if there was a war in Europe right now, and the European Union countries affected, one of the first things that would be happening in that country where there is war, there would be a pathway for relief food. Red Cross would be on the ground. Humanitarian aid would be happening. Raila Amolo Odinga, hii kiti ulikuwa unaendea kwanza ni kiti useless. Let's start there. Because if what is going on in DRC is anything to go by, then we completely and totally do not need African Union.
And by the way,
you need to disband that moribund outfit.
by the way, M23 wamefika Bukavu, eh?
Yes.
They overran Bukavu.
Na kuna wajinga wanapiga kura.
But Jeff, let's also look at the candidature of Raila Odinga. A man who is 80 years, a man who people thought that we are doing it to reward him to solve our internal political issues. And so even the candidacy of Raila Odinga was also warped from day one. I think the country has a bad name. The candidature of Raila Odinga was wrong, and President Ruto made lots and lots of mistakes. So all those three things combined, and the interest that they took there, the 500 plus people, and the noise they were making. So each and every other thing that they were doing it wrongly. And so even the candidate of Raila Odinga is a man who is 80. Most of those presidents are his juniors, and he was going to take instructions from his juniors, because when you are AUC chair, you are a clerk to this president. You are the person who is supposed to be running around, being told enda DRC, enda Madagascar, sasa rudi huku, kuja Somalia. You know, at 80, I think most of those presidents thought that this is not the right job to give to Raila Odinga, and I think President Ruto has been desperate to try and tame Raila Odinga. He has been desperate to try and handle Raila Odinga in a manner that, you know, then gives him time to work as a president, because if he doesn't then tame Raila Odinga, the internal politics of the country are going to be so bad that he might not be allowed to work and deliver on his promises, if he will deliver on any, because even now there is a talk that you know, they have to implement the Radical report and give Raila Odinga the prime minister, the premiership in this government.
How?
Because they must content with Raila Odinga. They must give Raila Odinga what he wants. President William Ruto is so desperate to make sure that Raila Odinga is contented, and so even this seat, if you asked me, we made it look so big, and it's a very little seat. Musa Faki, who is leaving, most Kenyans knew him when he was delivering that speech
the other day.
People did know him. You know, when Amina Mohammed was vying, we knew tulijua ameanguka kama ameanguka. We didn't know about the campaigns and whatever, but because it's Raila Odinga, we made it look so big.
When we are talking about Kenya, and why we have this image that could not stand the test of time when this election was happening, is because of such things. Happenings of June last year cannot be dismissed as not having ramifications on this particular election that was held. One, this was something that went viral. That's something that the world, that caught the attention of the world, simply because the youths broke into parliament. Everyone in the world knew Kenya youth had entered parliament. Why were they there? Because the administration is doing things in a manner that does not conform with what the constitution prescribes. What does that speak of the country? You know about that. People died and all that. That is a dent on the nation called Kenya. When we are presenting a candidate, people are looking at, remember, we also have this issue of, you remember when everyone was uncomfortable with Raila in this administration,